We often imagine artificial intelligence as code floating in the ether. The physical reality, however, is heavy, intensely hot, and requires massive industrial cooling lines just to keep the hardware from melting. That industrial reality is dropping right into the middle of suburban neighborhoods. Irvine, California, a city known for its planned parks and quiet residential tracts, is becoming ground zero for a collision between local life and hyperscale tech infrastructure. This collision is driven by power density. A standard IT rack draws 3 to 5 kilowatts. An AI rack demands 30 to 50, a 10-fold jump in energy consumption. Every watt becomes immense heat. Standard AC fails, forcing the installation of heavy-duty industrial pumps. These cooling systems produce an unavoidable byproduct, noise. A single data center blasts out constant sound in the range of 85 to 100 decibels, the equivalent of standing next to a power saw for 24 hours a day. The physical demands of AI have transformed the internet into a heavy, loud industrial burden, crashing into local business parks and the communities surrounding them. In Irvine, the front line of this collision is the Irvine Business Complex, a commercial district currently grappling with a sudden influx of massive tech projects. These facilities move in through a regulatory gap. Irvine lacks a specific zoning category for data centers, classifying them as light industry, like small warehouses. This allows developers to build massive hyperscale facilities in commercial areas with minimal municipal friction. Strict noise ordinances are the only thing keeping these centers out of nearby residential areas. The Great Park neighborhood caps noise at 75 decibels, a threshold these facilities routinely surpass. Secretive hedge funds and developers are actively exploiting these light industrial zoning gaps. By using these outdated categories, they can bypass the intense public scrutiny usually required for major industrial infrastructure. Slow-moving municipal codes are unwittingly providing a backdoor for highly disruptive infrastructure to establish itself directly next to suburban life. Beyond power and noise, these facilities require a second massive resource to stay operational: water. Keeping 50-kilowatt AI servers from overheating requires a staggering amount of daily evaporation. The Irvine Ranch Water District typically mandates that industrial sites use purple pipe water, recycled wastewater designed to preserve the public supply. But recycled water presents an engineering problem. The minerals in purple pipe water often erode and destroy the multi-million-dollar cooling equipment inside the data centers. To protect their hardware, companies secure secretive utility waivers to bypass the mandate. These waivers allow them to pump hundreds of thousands of gallons of clean, potable drinking water into their cooling towers instead. This massive daily consumption of drinking water happens in a state defined by its vulnerability to severe systemic droughts. Tracking these deals is nearly impossible. State legislative attempts to mandate public transparency regarding corporate water use were ultimately vetoed, leaving the details secretive. The AI boom is quietly evaporating millions of gallons of public drinking water with zero oversight, prioritizing the health of servers over the region's drought resilience. These local infrastructure booms roll up into a larger bottleneck. The scale of the data center influx is now triggering a statewide electrical capacity crisis. Utility providers like Southern California Edison are suddenly having to rewrite their forecasting models to account for a surge in data center inquiries. This forecast shows the projected strain. The current baseline of 80 megawatts is expected to jump to 200 megawatts in the near term, eventually hitting 400 megawatts of new demand driven solely by data center projects. California's existing grid infrastructure is incapable of supporting this rapid, concentrated load growth without massive, multi-billion-dollar upgrades to the transmission system. What appear to be isolated projects in places like Irvine are aggregating into a critical bottleneck for the entire state's energy grid. In California, grid strain carries a lethal consequence. When high-voltage transmission lines are pushed beyond their limits and fail, they spark catastrophic wildfires. This brings in inverse condemnation, a legal doctrine that applies strict liability to utilities. If a utility's equipment sparks a fire, the company is held 100% financially responsible for the damages, regardless of fault. The fallout is often existential. Past utility-sparked fires resulted in billions of dollars in liabilities, famously driving giants like PG&E into total bankruptcy. To prevent these fires and keep up with AI demand, utilities must spend billions on upgrades, costs they historically offload onto residential ratepayers. The state is finally beginning to investigate this cost shifting. Senate Bill 57 was recently signed into law to study exactly how much these data centers are raising the utility bills of everyday families. The AI revolution functions as a heavy, resource-draining industrial engine, and right now it is being actively subsidized by the physical land, the public water, and the monthly utility bills of everyday Californians.